Hello everyone, as I'm sure you've all heard by now, Nazem Kadri has signed a 7-year, $49 million deal with the Calgary Flames in free agency. The biggest remaining fish and possibly the biggest fish in the market, or who is on the market for this offseason, has now signed with a team, and we can finally talk about it. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you are new. I want to be able to do this full time one day, so if you subscribe, if you're really interested, this would help me out so much to get there faster. Now thank you, and let's talk about it. So Kadri is of course a player that has had some interesting moments in his career. It has been a good player, but also a player that has had moments where maybe the fan base hasn't been very happy with him, cough cough, Toronto, but has really shown that he is a very talented player that isn't someone that you would just say, oh, I remember him because of this negative thing in the playoffs. And this happened, of course, with the Colorado Avalanche, as he was able to not only play well in Colorado, but to thrive with the Avs, and of course is benefiting from that now. And I won't keep you too long, just because I know this video will go out a little bit later than some of the other videos. But Kadri, here are my thoughts on this deal. He is going to be 32 when this thing is starting. If I'm not mistaken, he's really close to being 32, a matter of like 50 days or something like that. So that is a little concerning. 7-year deal that runs through the 29-30 season. That feels crazy to say. But yeah, it runs through 7 seasons. We don't know the details now. We don't know if he has an NMC. And this is a kind of a short-term win for the Flames. We thought, okay, when they lost Gaudreau and Tkachuk, they were going to be done for. It was all done, rebuild time for the Flames. Then, of course, with that Tkachuk trade, they got Huberdeau and they got Weegar, which now gives them 3 really interesting names to throw out there for this upcoming season. Kadri being one of the biggest names there. I think Huberdeau is still a guy I think people would say is a bigger name player just because of his his track record. But Kadri now will bolster this side, and in the the next year or 2, maybe 3, will be a big part of whether or not this looks good for the Flames, as they go from being a team that has to be going on a rebuild to a team that probably should do pretty well in the Pacific this year. I don't know if they'd win the division just yet. I have to go through all my previews and do those. Of course, if you're new, make sure to check those out as well, as I've got those coming out. But I would say that they should definitely make the playoffs with the roster they have as of right now. Again, though, there are some losses here. Monahan is going to be traded to Montreal, or has been traded to Montreal, in order to make room for Kadri. And the biggest thing there is they had to give up a first-round pick, which is a little worrisome too. But in the moment, you're thinking Kadri is coming off a career year for assists and points, so you're hoping he can be a top-line caliber player, and this team might be able to make some noise in the playoffs. Of course, they got upset by the Oilers earlier this past offseason, or this past playoffs, but here we are now, and it'll be very interesting to see how these new players gel with this roster, and whether or not Calgary is going to be back on top of their game after having a very good regular season. But short-term win, long-term, I'm a little bit more skeptical. We'll have to see. What are your thoughts on this deal? 7x7, let me know down below in the comments. Please make sure to like this video, and again, subscribe if you want to see more content from me, as I hope to do this one day for my full-time job. Everybody, please make sure to stay safe, have a great night, and you go with hockey, all right? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.